Hello, I'm Shanan Valles, and I am an assistant professor of psychology at the Rio Grande campus. My research is titled Concept Maps Compared to Traditional Outlines on Retention of Course Material as Measured by Exam Performance. It has long been the plight of instructors to raise students' performance on exams. We've always looked at trying to increase students' memory for the retention of course material. Equally abundant is the research in psychology on ways to improve one's memory. The solution I propose for this research is to provide a method of study that will increase memory. Context cues, color, imagery are all techniques that have been well established in psychology as a way to improve someone's memory, as well as making a personal connection with the material should allow someone to remember that material a little bit better. I decided to employ a technique that's used in education known as a concept map. A concept map should be a useful technique when we're using color and imagery and allowing the person to make a personal connection. You can see that a concept map is very similar to a traditional outline in that it has a main idea or a main concept supported by subtopics or sub-ideas and then supporting detail. The only difference between a concept map and a traditional outline is the spatial organization of the material. In a concept map, students are allowed to arrange the material in ways that they see more useful to them, still keeping true to the related material and showing those relationships. You can see in the main concept with different ideas off to one side, lines drawing the links and the relationship between two ideas. The purpose of the study was to evaluate the effectiveness of concept maps compared to traditional outlines on the retention of course material. My hypothesis was that the use of concept maps will increase exam scores compared to traditional outlines. The participants were introduction to psychology students. A little over 59% of them were female and a little over 40% were male. This took place over a fall and spring semesters, which included 4 courses. The design took approximately 8 weeks, and there were 2 groups. The first group, which you can see in blue, were students that completed traditional outlines prior to exam 1 and then self-selected to switch to concept maps prior to exam 2. Group 2, as you can see in red, were students that also completed traditional outlines prior to exam 1 and then opted to stay with traditional outlines prior to exam 2. The measure was % correct on exams. This is an example of a student's concept map that was turned in during one of the psychology courses. You can see that this person used a lot of color, a lot of imagery. They drew lines connecting main ideas to subtopics and provided some personalization to the concept map, all of which would be shown to improve memory. The data analysis that was used was a repeated measures t-test was performed to measure the difference in exam scores for group 1 and group 2. An independent samples t-test was used to analyze the difference between the means of both groups for exam 1. For group 1, remember these are the people that decided to switch from traditional outlines to the concept maps. We can see here performed significantly better on exam 2 compared to exam 1. The mean going from 73.9 to 82.4. For group 2, remember these were the students that chose to stay with the traditional outlines, performed no worse or no better. They essentially stayed the same for exam 2 compared to exam 1. The results were that group 1 saw a significant increase in exam performance. Group 2 experienced no change in exam performance. An interesting note that was found while I was analyzing the data was that group 1 performed significantly worse on exam 1 compared to group 2. But once they switched to concept maps, group 1 performed equally well as group 2 when on exam 2. This shows that the students that switched from traditional outlines to concept maps significantly increased their mean percent correct on exam 2. This could have been for a couple of reasons. These students may have wanted to try anything possible to raise their scores from exam 1 to their performance for exam 2. Another possibility could be that many of the younger students are very familiar with concept maps. They were taught these things in elementary school and in high school, and so they might just have more of a familiarity with concept maps. Or maybe the hypothesis was correct and the concept map actually provided context cues and memory cues for the students to retain the information better. There was no significant difference between the means when comparing exam 2 scores between the two groups. This shows evidence that the students in group 1 improved their exam performance equal to their counterparts in that of group 2. Future directions could be things like using concept maps with students that are learning English as a second language. Maybe concept maps could provide additional semantics and understanding of the course material, provide context cues and imagery when students are learning a second language and also learning higher abstract ideas like that in psychology. To use another direction would be to use concept maps as a graded assessment in psychology classes, as well as, of course, implement some pre and post-test surveys to see how students feel that they performed and whether they enjoy concept maps compared to traditional outlines. I would like to thank the Teachership Academy for awarding me the opportunity to complete this research, Dr. Jose Pacheco and Dr. Hilda Taylor for their guidance, and of course to the intro psychology students for their participation. And the following are my references. Thank you.